On May 3rd, 1991, something very special happened. 37 men and women came together to form the Rotary Club of Grand Bend. These charter members were individuals with different backgrounds and different skills, but they were united by a powerful idea that by working together, they could create lasting change in their local community and across the world. Today, as we celebrate this club's 30th anniversary, we are part of a worldwide network of over 34,000 clubs and more than 1.2 million members. As Rotarians, we span continents and bridge cultures. We champion peace. We fight illiteracy and poverty. We promote clean water and sanitation. We fight disease and we protect the environment. As we bring change to the world around us, we change ourselves. My name is Susan Moore, and I am this year's president of the Rotary Club of Grand Bend. I'm going to tell you the 30-year story of the Grand Bend Rotary Club, and what a story it is. After that special ceremony on May 3rd, 1991, the newly formed Grand Bend Rotary Club got right to work. The club raised $28,000 to support the creation of a bigger and better Grand Bend Public Library at a new location. The club started the United Way and VON Palliative Care in Grand Bend, and built an elevator at South Huron District High School to help students with accessibility needs. By 1995, the club had grown to 44 members. It wasn't a big club, but it had some big ideas. That year, the club took on a huge challenge, one that would permanently change the face of Grand Bend for walkers and cyclists. It was the Rotary Trail, which runs 9 kilometers from Grand Bend to the Pinery Park. Peter Warner was one of the Rotary Trail committee members.
The year was in 1995. Brad Oak, who we all know, decided to take his 3 sons, aged 9, 7, and 5, on a bike ride to the Pinery Park. And I remember him saying he was a nervous wreck by the time they arrived. It just wasn't safe. And what a shame. Here we have one of the most beautiful parks, and you can only get there by car. Club picked up on it, and the idea for a dedicated off-road trail was born, and it was approved by the club. And the late Hank Crutch agreeing to chair a committee of 15 Rotarians with a goal to make it happen. And we met once a week, spent thousands of hours exploring various routes, and there was lots of roadblocks. The original concept was to build a picturesque trail along the old Osable River from Pinedale to the Pinery Park. But it became obvious very soon that any access to the Pinery, other than through the main gates, would be very unlikely. So our next proposal was to simply follow the westerly edge of Highway 21 to the park. Suddenly, MTO became friendly. Well, we're on a roll now. Got a route in mind. Got to get through the legalities, layout of the path, construction costs, all had to be dealt with. But we did it. And consider it a remarkable achievement for a relatively new club of approximately 30 members. It's enjoyed and used by thousands every year, and it warms every Rotarian's hearts. I'm sure you drive along and see how well it's being used, and little kids on it, people jogging on it, people riding their bikes, but it's all very safe. It put the Rotary Club of Grand Bend on the map very early in the club's life.
Over the years, our club has supported many worthwhile local and community causes. But the support it provides is more than financial. Club members play an important role as leaders and volunteers in the community. An example is the Grand Bend Area Community Health Center, which our club has supported with gifts of more than $100,000. The Community Health Center is a vital resource to our community, ensuring that residents of this area have access to excellent health care close to home. Rotarians were instrumental in the creation of the center and have been active in its ongoing governance. One of them was George Shaw.
It was back in 1997. The health provision for Grand Bend was a clinic on Gill Road, which was owned by 3 of our local doctors who stayed on. Their concern was on that the Ministry of Health provincially had a concept with the community health center that would provide a service that would be very valuable for Grand Bend. So they started kind of a grassroots committee to speak to Rotary, and they came to, as a matter of fact, came to Rotary and spoke to them on the 27th of January, 1998. And I guess it kind of put a bug in the Rotarians' ear, because shortly after that, they formed there was formed a steering committee, which had 4 Rotarians on it. And the CHC Board of Directors was formed at that time to proceed to manage the CHC facility, and it contained 5 Rotarians on it. On the 29th of May, 2004, the grand opening was the grand opening that presented to the public the facility of the current Grand Bend Community Health Center. That is what we see now in the final building that is servicing our community, and for which we're very proud of. We've been referred to as being kind of one of the nicest of the CHCs in the province.
Another example of Rotary leadership is the Grand Bend Public School. Chris?
Back in 2000, the public school here in Grand Bend was very much threatened for closure. At the time, I was the chair of school council and also a member of the Rotary Club. And even though my kids were at the end of their academic career with the public school, I just couldn't be faced with the idea of losing our public school. So having a public school or an elementary school, critically important, I think, to the life of a community. Keeping the community vibrant, attracting people into the community, keeping us young at heart, they're all important things. So it really wasn't very hard to go to the Rotary Club and, solicit support, have some members join me on the steering committee, and then, even the level of engagement of support from the club at large was huge. In helping in fundraising and helping in, just gathering community support, they were there. And, ultimately, the steering committee was actually able to bring some additional partners in. So we managed to get the Lambton County Library, the Grand Bend Nursery School, and most importantly, the municipality of Lambton Shores join in with the steering committee. Ultimately, we made a proposal to the Lambton Kent District School Board and, asked them to consider a, community partnered facility. So one which would house the, the public school, the nursery school, the library, and of course the gymnasium for public use. So, instead of closing something, we ended up with a $2.3 million renovation to our facility. So, just amazing to think about it. And we are so lucky that we managed to save that school. And Rotary was a big part of that. And I am forever thankful for the support from Rotary, and as is all of Grand Bend. So, thank you, Grand Bend Rotary.
Yes, the Rotary Club of Grand Bend plays an important role in our community, but it is much more than a local service club. Some 35 years ago, Rotary International took on an enormous global challenge to rid the world of polio. Polio was wiped out in Canada in the mid-90s, that left a terrible legacy. There are many people with loved ones who suffered from the disease, including member Gord Britton, whose sister was afflicted with polio when she was very young. In the summer of 2007, Gord and his daughter Tia volunteered to go to India, joining a group of Rotarians to help with National Immunization Day. Gord?
And we went to very remote rural parts of India. The biggest challenges of polio in India were the small villages kind of in the middle of nowhere that would have virtually no access to healthcare, no access to anything. And that's where no access to education. The local Rotary Club identified those areas. Our role was sort of two parts. One is actually participating in the logistics of traveling there and helping with the doses and administering the doses. But also, we kind of stand out. We're this Western group that are joining the folks from India, and we're different, right? We look different, and we were kind of the draw. You got to attract the oldest siblings, all right, get them immunized, but then they get a little gift, a very small token gift, and they got excited about that, and then they would go and round up their younger brothers and sisters that will be 2 years old, 3 years old. They come out, so you have this 8-year-old brother or sister carrying their 3-year-old, brother or sister coming out. And then suddenly we're like, poof, we would go into a village that wouldn't seem to be very big, but then we'd be surrounded by hundreds in no time at all, hundreds and hundreds of children, because the word would spread really fast.
Gord describes this experience in India as life-changing, helping him to connect to the broader world and giving him a better sense of his role in that world.
One thing that's changed me is that it's the bringing together the unifying principles of Rotary International. So it's this group effort and how the world can come together. For Rotary, I guess the strength of Rotary is its international mission, right? That permeates all countries, all cultures, all regions, all races, all religions. It goes everywhere. So, any one of us that in Rotary that travel always see that, we might be in South America or Africa or over there. There's always this, when we go to a Rotary meeting, there's always sort of this wonderful sort of familiarity of just people that care, people that are working together. Because things like the massive project of polio was bringing together all sorts of resources together, people, Rotarians, other NGOs, the medical profession, on and on. And so Rotary, Rotary is able to do that. So that's a real inspiration.
Our club and members have contributed $245,000 to the polio effort. And thanks also to volunteers like Gord, polio cases in the world have been reduced by 99.9%. Today, polio is only found in 2 countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Rotary and its partners continue the worldwide effort to wipe out this disease forever. In the early years, the club raised money mainly through raffles and draws. But since 2004, our main fundraiser has been Autumn Indulgence. Every year, Autumn Indulgence brings the community together at the Huron Country Playhouse for a gala event, a wonderful evening of food, fellowship, entertainment, and a live and silent auction. Autumn Indulgence came about at a time when the club was rethinking its fundraising strategy. Club members were challenged by Roger and Lois Wallace to come up with some ideas for a one-time event. Roger?
Lois and I went down to Sarnia in that timeline. There was a thing going on down there called Men Who Cook. Men Who Cook was an event where 40 men brought food from home, favorite recipe, set up kiosks around in a semicircle. Their tickets were sold to all of their friends and anybody else to come to the event, And that was their fundraiser, along with a very small silent auction. So it worked out well.
Roger was asked to chair the committee, and planning began for our club's version of Men Who Cook. But as the event began to take shape, a big problem emerged.
We got going on it, and about midsummer, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, it was midsummer.
Midsummer, the health department decided that you could not bring food in from your house to someplace to serve. They changed the rules. The church suppers were no longer available to, so you can't do that anymore. We changed everything 100%, 180 degrees, and to we'll do it at the Playhouse. That was the venue that we found we could use. We're going to restaurants in town to supply the food from their potatoes, veggies, so forth and so on, the salads, desserts. They came from different restaurants, which we paid for. And then we supplied lobster and steaks ourselves.
Autumn Indulgence was born, and it's become a great Grand Bend tradition, raising more than $1,180,000 for community and international projects.
The folks were remarkable. Again, I go back to when we're trying to do this for the community itself is just remarkable for what they supplied, plus the club and their spouses and the spouses' friends. I think it's become almost a brand. It's our celebration of ourselves and our community. And
Grand Bend is famous for its magnificent beachfront. Our beachfront has undergone many improvements over the past 20 years, and the Grand Bend Rotary Club has played a key role in all of them. It began with a beach house, which gives breathtaking views of the water and the sunsets from its observation deck. And there was no way for those with accessibility challenges to get to the top. So our Rotary Club raised money to install a self-operated wheelchair elevator, giving everyone the chance to enjoy the wonderful view. In 2005, Rotary helped lead a community effort to reinvent the main beach. The municipality of Lambton Shores asked Rotarian Jim Southcott to co-chair a committee to raise money for beach enhancements. The work of this committee was completed in 2009, but Jim and Rotary took the lead on other improvements to the waterfront in Main Street, including a turning circle, historical plaques, and the Rotary stage.
One of the causes was the formation and building of the Grand Bend Rotary stage on the beach. You know, Grand Bend historically has had a music relationship with people coming to Grand Bend and the beach, starting with George Egglestone and his great casino, and bringing all the great bands of the 30s and 40s to Grand Bend. Grand Bend has a history of music. So it wasn't hard to see that we needed a venue down there that would entice a good variety of talented people to come and keep this tradition alive.
The beach enhancements, culminating in the Rotary stage, had become a huge draw for tourists and residents alike. We asked Jim about the importance of Rotary leadership in these projects.
It's from the wellspring of Rotarians that come up with good ideas to improve Grand Bend that we're able to make these improvements and help make Grand Bend that special place where the fun never sets and you come for a visit, but you stay for a lifetime.
Living on the shores of Lake Huron, we cherish our beautiful natural environment. Our Clean Water Now project, which began in 2005, focuses on protecting and preserving the quality of water in our lake. Over the years, we've worked closely with the municipality of Lambton Shores and the Asabo Bayfield Conservation Authority on a variety of water-related and environmental projects. One notable project was monitoring the quality of the water at the main beach, which was instrumental in getting the blue flag for Grand Bend. In 2018, our club adopted a mission statement to combat plastic waste. It reads, the Rotary Club of Grand Bend cares about the environment and is committed to the reduction of plastic waste. Our goal is to work towards the elimination of single-use plastics in our community.
2 years ago, the club was looking for a project to support as part of a special appeal for autumn indulgence. Our committee suggested a water refill station to help reduce the incredible number of plastic water bottles which accumulate during the summer. We were hoping to raise enough money for one, perhaps two water refill stations. Now, when it came time for the special appeal, which was at the end of the evening, at the end of the live auction, we put it out there, and within 10 minutes, we had raised $74,000, which was enough for 14 water refill stations. It was an incredible response and showed the generosity of our community and also its willingness to support environmental issues.
Over the 30-year lifespan of our club, we have led many local projects that have made a difference in our local community. But one remarkable project that began in our small club has attracted international attention, our Global Literacy Project. The story of our Global Literacy Project begins with Rotarian Peter Twinstra, who during his career had come to know and love South Africa. When he retired, he took some tour groups to the area and visited some rural schools.
On one of those trips, we visited a school which Deanie and I had visited privately earlier, really run down. A lot of the kids were not going to school because of lack of books, lack of furniture, lack of blackboards. And that probably was the nucleus of coming back home and observing schools being closed in Ontario. Yep. And the furniture going to landfill.
An idea was born, one that galvanized the Rotary Club of Grand Bend. In the spring of 2009, the club loaded a 40-foot seagoing shipping container with school supplies from schools that were closing in our area and shipped them to Middelburg Rotary Club in South Africa. But Peter and the club didn't stop there. The program, now headed by Brian Hall, has grown beyond our greatest expectations. In fact, 93 containers have been loaded and sent overseas. The challenges faced by young people in rural South Africa to get an education are enormous, yet education is so vital to the future of this country.
I mean, if you want to help a country, if you want to help a people, you start, I think, by education, so that people can more think for themselves, grow food for themselves, have jobs available, and so on, to look after themselves.
One image that always stayed with me is a picture of about 5 grade 12 students studying for their final exams. They're outside, sitting under a tree, because there weren't enough classrooms for everyone. These schools are growing by 15 and 20% per year. These kids are studying for what turns out to be the most important exam of their lives. And here's 5 kids sitting on 3 chairs. Each one had one cheek of their butt on one side of the chair so everybody could sit down. It helps you to understand what challenges these kids have to face to get an education.
Since the Global Literacy Project began, some 3 million books have been shipped, along with a myriad of school supplies such as desks, chairs, blackboards, shelves, and computers. In addition, we have shipped medical supplies, music instruments, sports equipment, craft materials, sewing machines, and dehydrated foods prepared by the Christian Gleaners of Cambridge. The program has helped more than 250,000 children in South Africa, with goods estimated at $12 million.
One of the things that makes me so proud of this program is the value we've created. It's rare to see 80 cents of each dollar which is donated to any charity go to programs. But with the $6,000 it costs to ship each container, we deliver $100,000 to $150,000 worth of school equipment. That's upwards of $20 per dollar raised. That's great leverage.
The success of this program is the result of many partners. South African Rotary clubs unload the containers and make sure the supplies are distributed fairly. School boards in Ontario help to organize and donate supplies. Other local Rotary clubs, 20 in all, have helped by collecting materials, loading containers, and providing financial help. And the program would not have been successful without the incredible support of our community, both as volunteers and donors.
Boy, have we developed a team, many of them outside of Rotary, you know, that are just benevolent people, good people that see what we're doing, and they can't wait for the next container to be loaded because they want to help. And we won't name names, but there is quite a crew out there that is so willing to help because it makes them feel good.
We believe that the Global Literacy Project, like all of our projects, exemplify the qualities that characterize our club: compassion, innovation, leadership, partnering, and a hard effort. They are also examples of the difference a small club can make. During our 30 years as a club, we have learned an important lesson: that we must constantly adapt to meet the needs of a changing world. That lesson helped to prepare us for the biggest change to occur in our lifetimes: COVID-19. When Canada went into lockdown in March of 2020, we realized that Autumn Indulgence, our big fundraiser, could not go forward. So we pivoted, and pivoted quickly. In May of 2020, in partnership with the Community Foundation of Grand Bend, we held a virtual stay-at-home gala, one of the first of its kind, and raised more than $90,000 to help with COVID relief in the community. Again, it was the incredible response of the community that made the event so successful. But it was also the willingness of our club to try new ideas and learn new skills to make it happen. Virtual technology is not ideal, but we have embraced it as an opportunity, whether it's through virtual meetings, online euchre, or our upcoming virtual Autumn Indulgence this year. We continue to reach out to our members and to our community. How we will emerge from the pandemic is not yet clear, but of this you can be sure. Our club will be here, leading, serving others, creating a better world. Today, our club has 47 members. If you asked each of them why they decided to join Rotary, you would likely get 47 different answers. Here's what a few of them had to say.
About 25 years ago, I took a year away from my university studies and had this wonderful opportunity. I got to travel to Costa Rica and work in some underprivileged areas there. But to be able to go there and have that incredible experience there, I needed to raise a lot of money because that was a requirement to participate. I had to raise enough money to cover all of my expenses. So I approached the Rotary Club of Grand Bend, and the Rotary Club very generously supported me. And my interactions with the club were so positive, and the club's focus on bettering not only the local community, but also having an international focus and reaching out to parts of the world that are less fortunate than Canada and need some assistance. That really lined up with my own values. And ultimately, that is why I became a member of the Rotary Club of Grand Bend.
I joined Rotary about 10 years ago, probably quite simply because I was asked. However, I did know a few members of the club, and I knew something of Rotary's reputation in the community, and so it was an easy answer when I said yes. Ever since, it's been a great experience, certainly worthwhile, and it's been some of the best 10 years of my life.
Hi, my name's Michelle File, and I've been a part of Rotary for not even a year. Last year, I decided that one of my goals was to be a bigger part of the community that I lived in. And because both of my parents have been involved in Rotary for several years now, I knew that that was a great place for me to start. I am so looking forward to taking a bigger part in our club, volunteering and being part of the different organizations, but also hopefully encouraging other people who are my age to join us as well, so we can keep this moving forward in the years to come.
I was first introduced to Rotary in 2011 when the elementary school that I was the secretary in was slated for closure, and someone who knew that I had family in South Africa mentioned the Grand Bend Rotary Club's global literacy program to me. And so I began volunteering loading the containers that carried these supplies and this equipment to South Africa. And because I traveled to South Africa and was able to see the results of our work on the other end of the program, when we unloaded these supplies and delivered them to the hospitals and the schools, I was doubly blessed and amazed. Really and truly speaks volumes about what Rotary is, opening up the world and connecting people throughout the world, because we can do so much more as a group than we could any one of us do as an individual.
When you want to give something back to the community that you love, you go to the organization which is active, fun, and gets things done. The added bonus to Rotary, it is truly the only international service organization, and I have visited clubs around the world and been welcomed with open arms.
The Rotary Club of Grand Bend is a welcoming club. We work, we play, and we are a people of action. No matter what path you travel on your journey, our club has a place for you. I'm Susan Moore, and on behalf of the Rotary Club of Grand Bend, thank you for watching.